Now here is the most dastardly of the bunch in my view. Lynn Cheney, go ahead.
Mr. Meadows' testimony will bear on another key question before this committee. Did Donald Trump, through action or inaction, corruptly seek to obstruct or impede Congress's official proceedings to count electoral votes?
Through inaction? That would be weird. I guess I obstructed Congress through my inaction. I mean, how ridiculous is that? They have no basis for this whatsoever. Go ahead.
Members of Congress, the press, and others wrote to Mark Meadows as the attack was underway.
Now stop. I read these tweets from her, so listen very, very carefully to this. Go.
One text Mr. Meadows received said, quote, "We are under siege here at the Capitol." Another, quote, "They have breached the Capitol." In a third, Mark, protesters are literally storming the Capitol, breaking windows on doors, rushing in. Is Trump going to say something?
So, Joe, just to go back
So just to point out, and there's others, where they have Ingram and Hannity and Don Jr. saying to President Trump, you need to make a statement. What are you going to do about this and so forth? Now, let me ask you a question. What does that demonstrate? So far, that proves the case against their narrative, right? If Donald Trump were leading an insurrection, don't you think Don Jr. would be in on it? If Donald Trump were leading an insurrection, don't you think some of his friends in the media would know about it? Rather than telling him, we got to do something about this, this is going on, and so forth and so on. You get my point? It wouldn't be the other way around. It would be, oh, things are going as planned, right? Okay, things are going as planned. Not, Dad, you need to say something about this SHIT ASAP, which is what Don Jr. did, and others wrote too. And so this is really bizarre. So they're using texts which demonstrate that people were shocked, that people were surprised, and that they were texting each other and texting the president, look what's going on, what are we going to do about this, and so forth and so on. And Mark Meadows is the chief of staff. And this stuff was sent to Mark Meadows. Sent to Mark Meadows. Does it sound like Mark Meadows was in on it? Is there anything in a single text, wouldn't they release it, that says anything that is, that demonstrates that Meadows has foreknowledge or is a participant or that the president is? Nothing. Or they would have released it already, right? Nothing. Everybody's missing the import of what dummy there Liz Cheney did, in my humble opinion. Go ahead.
Those were anonymous texts from members of Congress to Mark Meadows, not anonymous to him, but we didn't hear their names there. They were Fox News hosts, some of whom went on the air that night and started in the real time.
Look at Mika Brzezinski's face. She's loving every minute of it. Don't look at Scarborough's, your face will turn to sand. But look at hers. I just love this. Go ahead.
Real time to whitewash what happened, saying this was Antifa. We see their concerns expressed to Mark Meadows about Donald Trump.
Now, they say Fox hosts have said it was Antifa. I don't remember Hannity saying it was Antifa or Laura Ingraham saying it was Antifa. They just slopped that stuff out there. The Russia collusion crowd. Go ahead.
That day, and then from his own son, Don Jr., pleading with the chief of staff to get his dad to do something.
That's the point. If you had somebody with a 4 IQ there, they'd say, wait a minute. If Don Jr.'s pleading with his dad to say something, then obviously Don Jr. didn't know about it in advance, or these Fox hosts didn't know about it in advance, nor did the president, nor did his chief of staff. Right? Because they would have talked to their friends and their compatriots. Go ahead.
This goes to the point that Mark Meadows may not be cooperating now by giving his deposition, but he already cooperated. He gave 6,000 pages worth of documents, and there's going to be much more than what we just heard yesterday in those text messages.
6,000 pages of documents, and that's what they've got? Something that I believe is helpful to the people they're trying to destroy? And he just said 6,000 pages of documents. You're going to hold him in criminal contempt because he turned over 6,000 pages of documents? You see, the so-called news lead-up to the smirk over here, and Mr. Banjo Player in Deliverance, and Mr. Doofus over here, wasn't accurate. They didn't give you the information that you need to know, what we call news. Go ahead.
Say so much about what happened that day and about the people who sent them.
Well, like those hosts who said one thing while the riots were going on and were scared for their country, and said another that night and in the weeks.
Well, what did they say that night? Where's the graphic? What did they say, Joe? Well, you know, he's slow off the start gate and he's slow getting back. What do I mean? Rather than giving an opinion without the factual undergirding, why don't you tell us exactly what they said that contradicts anything? Go ahead.
Mark Meadows right now is just playing to an audience of one, Donald Trump. He's already turned over the evidence. He's already halfway there to being the John Dean of January the 6th.
Oh, come on, you idiot. The John Dean. Go ahead.
Whether he wants Donald Trump to like it or not. But that's what Mark Meadows has always done. He's always tried to have it.
Now here we smear Mark Meadows. From a guy who couldn't make it in radio, couldn't hold his house seat, and really hasn't made it in TV. He's paid a lot of money for no ratings. Go ahead.
But, you know, Willie, what these texts show is really, it's quite reassuring to get confirmation that there are two realities. There's a reality that we all live in, that functioning adults live in, where facts, laws, realities are understood. And we...
Just remember, folks, this is the Russia collusion crowd. This is the crowd that covered up the so-called phony whistleblower and pushed that Ukraine nonsense. This is the crowd that is covered up for Hunter Biden and his laptop, Hunter Biden in China, Hunter Biden in Moscow, Hunter Biden in Ukraine, Joe Biden in China, Joe Biden in Ukraine. Oh yeah, this is the guy that's covered up, and these are the people who've covered up all of it. All of it. The Russia collusion thing, there's your insurrection. The move to neutralize a presidential election. Pushing coups, pushing impeachments, pushing criminal investigations, pushing leaks, and on and on and on. Why do we even listen to? Get rid of these guys.
Want to see more? Sign up for LEVIN TV.